Why would the goddess of wisdom wear a rotting severed head on her chest? You've probably seen pictures of Athena holding a shiny golden shield, looking all heroic and noble. But that is a lie. The real Aegis shield isn't some polished piece of ceremonial armor. It is literally the stuff of nightmares. If you looked at the original descriptions, the Aegis isn't metal at all. It's a skin. A flayed, bloody animal skin, or sometimes something much worse, draped over the god's shoulders, decorated with golden tassels that aren't fabric. They're living snakes. And right in the center, screaming in eternal agony, is the actual head of Medusa. So how did the most important symbol of divine protection end up being a gore-fest of snakes and skin? To understand that, you have to realize that the Greek gods didn't view protection the way we do. They didn't protect you by blocking hits. They protected you by making your enemy so terrified that their heart stopped beating. Let's break down what this thing actually is, because there are two origin stories, and both of them are deeply disturbing. The first story starts with Zeus. You know the myth about him being raised in a cave to hide from his dad, Kronos, right? Well, he was nursed by a goat named Amalthea. She was basically his foster mom. She kept him alive. But when she died, Zeus took her skin. He flayed his own foster mother and wore her hide as a cloak to gain her power. That goat skin is the original Aegis. The word Aegis actually comes from the Greek word for goat. So every time you see Zeus depicted as regal and kingly, remember he's wearing the skin of the creature that raised him. It's a symbol of power, sure, but it's also a reminder that Zeus will use anything to maintain control. But that's the nice version. There is a much darker version involving Athena. In some myths, the Aegis isn't a goat. It's the skin of a giant named Pallas. During the war between the gods and the giants, Athena got into a brutal duel with Pallas. Some stories say he was her father. Others say he was just a monster. It doesn't matter. What matters is that she didn't just kill him. She peeled the skin off his body while it was still warm and draped it over her shoulders as a trophy. That is the Aegis. It's a corpse that she wears into battle. Imagine fighting someone who is wearing the skin of the last guy who tried to fight them. That is the level of psychological warfare we are dealing with here. And we haven't even gotten to the head yet. This is the part that changes everything. You know the story of Perseus killing Medusa, right? He chops off her head, uses it to turn a sea monster to stone, saves the girl, all that hero stuff. But what happens to the head afterwards? He doesn't keep it, he gives it to Athena. Athena takes this head, which remember can still turn people to stone even though it's dead, and she mounts it directly onto the Aegis. So now, picture this object. You have the flayed skin of a giant or a goat. You have golden tassels that are actually venomous snakes, hissing and spitting at anyone who gets close. And in the center, you have the face of the Gorgon, eyes wide, mouth open, freezing people in their tracks. But here is the thing that most people miss. What does the Aegis actually do? It's not a shield in the Captain America sense. You don't block swords with it. You shake it. In the Iliad, when Apollo holds the Aegis and shakes it at the Greek army, they don't get hit by a laser beam. They lose their minds. The Aegis radiates pure, distilled panic. It breaks the human spirit. Men who are brave warriors suddenly throw down their weapons and run screaming, not because they're hurt, but because the sight of the Aegis overrides their brain with primal terror. It's a weapon of mass panic. It turns an organized army into a stampede. And that creates this really interesting contradiction. Athena is the goddess of strategy, of clear thinking, of wisdom. Yet her primary weapon is madness and fear. It shows you that in the ancient world, peace wasn't kept by diplomacy. It was kept by having a weapon so terrifying that nobody dared to move. It's also why you see the face of Medusa on everything in ancient Greece. They put her on breastplates, on shields, on doorways, Even on wine cups, it's called the Gorgoneion. The logic was basically fighting fire with fire. If you have a monster on your shield, other monsters will be too scared to come near you. So, the Aegis isn't just a piece of armor, it is a warning. It says, I am a god, and I have harnessed the most terrifying things in the world: death, madness, and monsters, and I am wearing them like a jacket. It kind of makes you wonder about the nature of power, doesn't it? If you had a shield that didn't just protect you, but physically forced your enemies to run away in terror, would you use it? Or is that kind of power too dangerous for anyone to handle? Let me know what you do in the comments below.